So welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is John with SwingFit. So have you recently bought a set of irons? I'm talking about off the shelf. Maybe you went with a newer model with a similar shaft that you used to play to only realize that it's not performing as good as your previous set, or potentially you're leaving some yards on the table. If so, I promise you, you're not alone. And in today's video, we're gonna review a real world fitting example where we recently had a customer that come in who just bought a set of irons with the exact same shafts he had in his previous set. And he said, John, I'm really concerned that I may have made a mistake because I know without question I'm leaving yards on the table. It's just these things aren't going as far and I don't know what is going on. And we do see this day in and day out. And I not only want to share two key variables that we like to look at when we are taking our customers through the fitting process, but I'm also going to help you understand when is it appropriate to make the switch from steel to graphite or the other way around. So without further ado, let's jump in. So before we dive too deep into today's topic, I do want to take a quick second to welcome any new viewers to the channel. So if this happens to be your first time, or if you're just passing through and would like to learn a little bit more about the club fitting process, really gain a better understanding of what club fitters do day in and day out in order to take their customers' game to another level, then you are absolutely in the right place. And all you got to do is consider hitting that subscribe button below and turn on that bell so that way you receive an alert anytime we drop our new content. And for any of our current followers and subscribers, we truly can't thank you guys enough. Not only for helping us spread the word of what we're trying to do in the golfing community and with our channel, but for also helping us achieve our latest milestone. And if you haven't noticed, we recently surpassed the 3,000 subscriber mark. So thank you again, and please continue to keep those questions, suggestions, and feedback coming in. So now let's roll up our sleeves to help you better understand what is the fitting scenario that we're going to be referencing today. And this is a common scenario that we see day in and day out. And there's this one common mistake that we see a lot of our customers make. And if it can impact them, there's a pretty good chance that it may either have already impacted you, or you might be on the verge of making the same small mistake as well. So let's go ahead and peel that back. And a common mistake that I'm talking about is we have a lot of our customers that will make a shaft selection based off of something they previously owned or used. And the logic there is that, well, this shaft worked well for me at one point in time, and what if I just take those same shafts and pair it up with the latest and greatest heads? Will I be able to stack the deck in my favor? And the honest answer is, it really does depend, just like in today's example, where we had a senior golfer with an average swing speed of about 76 to 78 miles an hour. And he's actually was previously gaming these bad boys right here, the JPX 919 irons with the True Temper Elevate 95Rs. He said really didn't have any problems with it. It was just time for an upgrade. So he upgraded to these here, which was the brand new Callaway Apex DCB irons, and he paired it with the exact same shaft. But he said, John, he says, I don't have my old irons to compare it to, but I swear I'm about a club to two clubs shorter than where I was with the 919s. And in a perfect world, we would want to do some form of comparison to help the customer better understand why did one set perform better than that of the others, and especially if they were sharing similar build specs and the exact same shaft. And there's got to be some logical explanation. But in this situation, we only have access to the current set. So the customer was like, John, I'm not interested in buying another brand new set of irons. Help me keep my costs down. Can we do a retrofit and just find a better dance partner? And that's exactly what we did. And in an attempt to speed up the process, we did try a number of different shafts. We are going to show you the before and after, which is pretty dang on eye-opening. But let's take a look at the customer's baseline tracers and walk through some of the issues that he was currently facing. And one of the first things that jumped out at me is the lack of distance, especially at the customer's current speed of about 76 to 78 miles an hour. Just knew that he should be carrying the ball a little bit farther. So not only did I suspect that we got a dynamic loft issue going on, but there's also something going on with the timing element because the face was definitely blocking a lot of shots to the right. So let's peel back the numbers so that way you can see exactly what I saw. And there are a couple key variables I like to look at when I suspect there is a distance issue, and no question, when you look at the customer's average carry of 123, there's something going on because, he should be hitting it a little bit farther. I would almost say a full club, if not 2 clubs farther. But what is going on? And the great news is the answer lies in the data points, and a good fitter should be able to help you parse through this so that way you're looking at the correct numbers. So first thing I do like to look at is input versus output, and at the customer's current speed of 76 and with the output of 93, that's just not a large enough separation for me because I know firsthand that this head can produce, ball speeds, closer to 100 at his level of input. So we're about 7 to 8 short of where he really should be. But, let's really kind of peel back the numbers. So left to right, launch angle, 27.8, a little high. Backspin, 58.11. He's had a couple ball spin numbers there, north of 6,000, and that's also high. And you might be scratching your head going, well, John, isn't a good comfortable spin window to be around 6,000 to 7,000? Well, that's true if you possess the right amount of swing speed. And so for my faster swing speed players, 6,000 to 7,000 would be a good window. But for slower speeds, I want that to be a little bit low because what's happening here is this spin is creating excess lift and it's keeping the ball in the air longer. And I can verify that by the apex and the descent angle. Apex is at 88 and his descent angle is like a 49. Right? So the ball is just staying in the air a little too long. Now we have to figure out why. So let's take a look at the club side. And right there it is in plain sight. The dynamic loft is our root cause. And yes, customer is hitting up on the ball and that will create a little higher launch scenario, but nothing worse than that of what we're seeing in the dynamic loft column. I mean, heck, 3 of these shots, and these are the 5 best shots that is, was north of 50, and that's higher than most of our customers' average dynamic loft window with a 60-degree wedge. So guys, definitely please keep this in the back of your mind. That is the average dynamic loft window we want to see for our customers with their 7-iron is -6, -8 of that of static loft. So as an example, if you had 32 degrees of static loft with your 7-iron, I really want your dynamic loft window to be around 24 to 26. And if you're a little under or a little over, that's okay. But that's the good sweet spot range that we found that works best for all of our customers. So here we almost have double the amount of loft, and there's no reason why the customer is losing distance. So let's take a look at these next set of tracers and talk to you about what we moved him into. So as you watch these shots unfold, without question, the shaft we ended up in did the trick. Not only is the customer hitting it farther, reclaim some of those missing yards, but he's also tighter to that center line, and we was able to bring that dispersion a lot closer. And that's always an added bonus. So if we can help the customer hit it a little bit farther and bring that dispersion circle in closer to the target line, that's a win-win. So let's peel back the numbers to help you understand what was the shaft we ended up in and what were the major differences. And the tail of the tape never lies. I love presenting the before and after snapshot so that way the customer can see the collective averages of the 5 best shots versus 5 best shots. And without question, the Accra 70i Graphite shaft and regular flex, that is, did better than that of the True Temper Elevate 95 shafts. And let's just take a look at the numbers. There's not a single number that did not get better. Ball speed did improve. I knew with that head we should be closer to 100, and which we was able to achieve. Launch angle, I wanted that to come down, and sure enough, we got that down. But take a look at that top left corner. Notice something different there with that apex? Not really. Apex still stayed just as high, but we was able to get the launch down, and that's all courtesy of the shaft change that we made. Same thing with the backspin. Backspin dropped down. I knew backspin was going to drop down, a fair amount, but I didn't think it was going to drop down this much. But once again, at the customer's current swing speed, I'm okay with it being at this level as long as it doesn't come at the decrement of height and landing angle, and the customer's still hitting it plenty high and landing it just as soft. And it ended up without netting the customer a full 20 yards. But there was still one key variable that we needed to influence. Let's see how good of a job we was able to do by making the switch. And when we get into the weeds and look at this line by line, dynamic loft definitely was improved. I mean, 48.5 versus 30.9. And yes, although the 30.9 is a little higher than that of what we just previously talked, it's still within an acceptable range. So just let this be another little golden nugget that these numbers that we share aren't absolutes. It's just a ballpark range that we see that works well for a majority of our customers. And as long as it's not impacting anything else, we're good. And it didn't impact apex and it didn't impact the landing angle. So, I'm okay with this number being where it's at. And, it netted the customer an additional 20 yards. But let's take a look at a couple of the other numbers here. So yes, the customer did pick up almost 4 miles an hour of additional club head speed. The explanation is a little lighter package. So we saved the customer almost about 25 grams in total weight, and that just helped him swing the club a little bit faster, and it also helped him improve the quality of strike. And we know this because the efficiency rating, also known as smash factor, improved from 1.25 to 1.30. And simply stated, that just means the ball is coming off hotter and we're just finding the sweet spot a little bit better. And, although the customer netted an additional 4 mile an hour input gain, the total output gain of 8 miles an hour wasn't all attributed to just the input, and it was the quality of strike in which the shaft played a vital role. So now that we got that out of the way and we know that the graphite shaft was the better option, we got to help you understand why the graphite shaft worked so well as it did. And you might even be from the mindset that you heard that you really should only go to graphite shafts if you're trying to get the ball up in the air. And if the customer didn't have any problems, wouldn't that only have compounded the situation and made it worse? And the answer is no, because of one simple variable that we haven't talked about. And yes, we talked about speed, which is one of the determining factors that will lead us down the path that a graphite shaft would be better, but we haven't talked about how a customer swings it fast. And simply stated, this is how you load and unload the golf club. And the reason why this is important is because depending on how much energy or force you put into the golf club, you're going to cause that shaft to deflect one way or the other. And the big thing is that every shaft needs to deflect in some form or capacity. And we always need it to kind of, lag a little behind so that way you can get some energy stored up to kick through the golf ball in order to help you get some extra speed and output. And in this scenario, because of the customer's release, he has what we refer to as more of a handsy release. And we do see this common with a lot of our senior golfers, where maybe they've had some surgeries, some hip replacements. They just can no longer rotate the body and use that free speed from the core. They have to rely on the arms and hands. And these type of swings, it's very, very hard to generate a tremendous amount of force to cause those steel shafts to deflect back like we need them to. And here, going with the graphite shaft definitely allowed it to lag behind enough so that way when he released it, it was still trying to play catch up and it presented the less dynamic loft that we needed to help the customer pick up the 20 extra yards. So in closing, we truly hope you found value in this information we shared. And if nothing else, at least now hope you have a little better understanding what are some of the things that a club fitter is going to look for when we're trying to determine whether or not if you are in the right shaft, and whether we put you in a stiff steel, soft steel, heavy steel, lightweight steel, or even in this situation, move you into graphite altogether. It's less important to understand how fast you swing the club more than it is on how you swing the club fast. So guys, if you have any questions or comments, do me a favor, leave them in the remarks below. And until next week, don't forget to take a look at one of these videos over here, because there just might be a couple golden nuggets that's waiting to help you find the answers that you're searching for. So thanks again for watching.